I'm not going to bore you guys by just speaking from the top of my head because it's a draw. Let's do something different. Let's do a player ratings. And you know what it is? I'm going to use a website that I used online, found online, and I'm going to try and compare my ratings to every single one of theirs. And that way we get to discuss every single one of these players one by one. Who played well, who didn't play well, whose rating has been exaggerated. Now, as you guys know, the road to 30k starts every day. Make sure to like, make sure to subscribe. Now let's look at some of the player ratings because truly, guys, there's just nothing to talk about when it comes to that game. Like from top of my head, Juventus dominated possession as you expect in a Spalletti team. I don't really expect to see like the revolution yet because how long has he been in the job? 1 week. 1 week. There was a midweek game. Like listen, the games they come quick and fast. I think at the moment he's just trying to grind out results. He's trying to paper over the cracks. I'll be real. You know, if there's like one thing I could introduce in football, like it's kind of off topic, I think I would give coaches license and power to stop players from going away for international duty. Like that's what I would do. Because I feel like if Spalletti, for example, had the power to turn around and say, listen, every single one of you guys is not going away for international duty. Why? Because I could really make use of those 2 weeks. Like it's a temporary, it's a very mid-season but small pre-season. I could do a lot of work with you guys in those 2 weeks, yeah, and I feel like the players will benefit a lot. Anyways, let's look at some of the player ratings. As you guys can see, Di Gregorio earned himself a 7.6 out of 10. Now I think every single one of these ratings is really exaggerated, but I don't think Di Gregorio really had himself like a bad game. If anything, I think he saved like Gatti. Oh brother, Gatti, we are getting on to you. I think Gatti came off the bench and truly had a shocking game. Like Gatti came off the bench, he had a shocking game. I've never found like Gatti for me. He's such a surprising character because he's like what 6'2", 6'3", 6'4". Like you'd expect him to be like very physical and dominant in the air, and I don't think he is. Like he plays the game in a very aggressive way, but at the same time he comes across very passive. Like you know what I mean? Like passive aggressive when it comes to Gatti. But no, don't worry, do not worry. We will talk about his rating. Di Gregorio, I think he made an amazing save from Simeone. I think it was the one where like Gatti got found out because Thuram had a loose touch. It went through Gatti's legs. He went in one-on-one. I think Di Gregorio had a good game. Like at times he kept Juve in the game, even though Torino didn't really create much. Kalulu is like a steady Eddie, if you know what I mean. Like you will never ever get the 8, 9, 10 out of 10 from Kalulu, but I don't think you get the 4, 5s out of 10. Like Kalulu is one of those guys. He will just give you a 7, 6.5. Let's just say 6.5 is average every single week. And you know what it is? There's nothing wrong with it if you're a team that aspires for like top 4. But if you are a team that aspires to compete, to like reach the latter stages of like the Champions League, I'll be honest, like you need to start looking at those players that just give you the 6, 7 out of 10 and start looking at them and saying, listen, 6, 7 out of 10 ain't cutting it, big boy. Time to give me 8. Time to give me 8.5. But I think like at the moment, the current state that Juventus are in, can't really fault Kalulu. Like I don't think he had a bad game. I don't think he had an amazing game. I just think it was a decent game for Kalulu standards. Rogani, like he was all right, but he only played really one half. We might as well talk about his replacement, Gatti. I don't think Gatti is good enough in the slightest for Juventus. Like whenever he comes onto the pitch, whenever he starts the game, I just look at him and say, you are so error prone. Like, you're not great in possession. I don't think his reading of the game is that good. And you know what it is? I can sympathize sometimes and say, you know what it is? Cool. Let's compensate for your poor reading of the game. Let's compensate for your poor playing ability. Let's compensate by you being a physical demon off the ball. And I don't think he's a physical demon. Like, he gets bullied. He gets dragged into areas where he doesn't really have the technical, let alone physical capabilities, let alone the mental capabilities to get himself out of. I'm not a fan of Gatti in the slightest, and I don't think he had a great game off the bench. Cup Miners, hey, Cup Miners, centre-back Cup Miners. I think he was all right. I'll be honest with you guys. Like, I think he was all right. Like, only in the second half did you really see, like, the Cup Miners with the overloads, like, stepping into midfield. I think in the first half, we hardly saw it. In the second half, when Torino just decided to sit back in a row of 5 with 3 and 2, that's when you start to see Cup Miners, like, step into midfield. I think where the problem is when Cup Miners steps into midfield, he helps in terms of ball circulation, which Spalletti highlighted. He helps in terms of retaining the ball. But the problem is when you're coming up against a team that sits back in a row of 5, that's when you actually start to look at Cup Miners and say, listen, when we ask you to step into midfield, we're not just asking you to step into there because of superiority, because of a numerical advantage. Of course, that is the primary reason. But when you do get into those areas where we do overload the field and you are getting the ball into dangerous areas, we need to start seeing some quality. Like let's be honest. The quality isn't just you positioning yourself higher up the field. No. It's time to see some quality in the final third. Can you test the keeper from 25, 30 yards? Can you make like a progressive part? Can you create an opportunity? Because now, let's be honest, when you do step into midfield and you do step into opposition territory, you're not playing as a centre back anymore, where your job is just to get the ball higher up the field. No, you're now playing in a midfielder's role. So can you show us like some form of quality, an opportunity, a good cross, a good shot? And I think where the problem is with that is last season when he was playing in those areas, like higher up the field, you didn't see it. So for me, when he steps into midfield, I more just look at it as an extra passing angle, somebody that can maybe help defend the transition. I don't look at him and say, this is a guy stepping into midfield and he's about to do damage on the ball. For me, I think it was a pretty decent game for Cup Miners. McKennie, hey, this one's actually surprised me. I'm going to be real, like, McKennie 6.4. I think McKennie had a good game. I don't know, like before uploading this video, like I went on social media and I've seen like a lot of mixed reactions to McKennie. I think McKennie had a relatively decent game. Like he's giving and going, he's progressing the ball, like he's getting opportunities in the final third. Bearing in mind, I think McKennie played like 3-4 different positions in this game. And I think Spalletti is looking at him as like, you are my bar of soap, if you know what I mean. Like I am going to utilize you all over the field. But I think McKennie had a good game. Like I'll be real. I think out of all of those ratings, 6.4 for McKennie is a real surprise to me. I think McKennie for me, I put him in the same bracket as I put Kalulu, which is you guys are good for now. But if you want to elevate and you want to go up to that next level and you want to start like looking at Inter, you want to start looking at Napoli and saying, hey, we're competing with you guys. I think these types of players really need to be moved on. Locatelli, I think Locatelli had some good moments. I think like a very interesting stat. Yeah, like of course context needs to be applied. Locatelli actually made like 31 progressive passes into the final third. And fair enough, Torino sat back. So every player in possession can make a progressive pass. But listen, it shows you the intent, which is he's always looking to pass the ball forwards. But as much as I love Locatelli, and I'm going to try and be as fair as I can and as objective as I can, I think Locatelli, I do put him in the bracket where even Thuram this season, where you guys are now getting into dangerous areas. Okay, you guys are now getting into dangerous areas. When you receive the ball in the first phase, your job is to get the ball into the second, into the third phase. I feel like Locatelli does it amazing. I think Locatelli is amazing in terms of ball progression. But, Locatelli, what if you are now on the receiving end of a progressive ball? Can you play make? Can you score me a goal from like 25, 30 yards? Can you like create an opportunity? I know like Locatelli can do it, but I feel like when you come up against teams that sit back, I start looking at these players more and say, show me that different bag of yours. So don't show me the ball progression bag. Don't show me the dictating tempo bag. Show me the playmaking bag. Show me the good in tight congested areas bag. Show me the goal scoring bag. And I've never really looked at Locatelli and thought to myself, he's an amazing goal scorer. Like I don't look at him and say you're amazing in the final third in terms of your movement, your anticipation. I think he's got a decent strike on him, but I feel like he's kind of passive, if you know what I mean. Like Locatelli, when it comes to striking the ball, he's very passive. Like having a shot on goal is like the last thing on his mind. And the thing is, guys, in these types of games, you need everybody to chip in. Thuram, 7.5. I feel like Thuram had a better second half to the game. I think Thuram's first half was catastrophic. And I was genuinely watching him and I was like, you haven't had a great start to the season, Thuram. Like, you really haven't. I felt like his touch was so loose. Like, he's involved, but then, like, so many times he overhits the pass, he underhits the pass. Like, sometimes he dilly-dallies too long on the ball and he invites pressure. Like, Thuram, I don't think he's had an amazing season so far. I really don't. I do sympathize with him, like, playing all over the field, the chopping and changing the managers and the formations and the systems. I feel like he had a better second half to the game, but I was very surprised to see him actually stay on. I really was. I don't really agree with a 7.5 rating. I would have probably given Thuram like a 6.5. Cambiaso is a very interesting talking point because he started off pretty well, like in terms of Spalletti's tenure. Today was one of those games where I look at Cambiaso and I say, if somebody doesn't tell me that you played 90 minutes, I would genuinely think you were on the bench. Like, I do not remember Cambiaso's presence on this match in whatsoever. Now, interestingly enough, we're not really talking about tactics today, but like I realized today with Spalletti, like when he wants to play out of the back, he actually molds this team more into like a 3-2-5. So it's like you get Locatelli and Thuram that sit in a pivot. And then funnily enough, the two advanced eights, like in that half space between the Vlahovic and the Kenans, between the Vlahovic and the Conceição, are McKennie and Cambiasso. Now, do I really agree with that? No, I don't really agree with it. I would love to see like Cambiasso and maybe Thuram swapping their roles. So like Thuram is a bit more advanced and Cambiasso is like closer to somebody like Locatelli. But maybe it was just for this game. I don't think Cambiasso done enough. Like I like, what is it, 6.5? Cambiasso for me, I just give him a solid 5. I don't think he done anything great in possession, anything great off the ball. Like he was getting into dangerous areas, but like the cross wasn't there. Very surprised by that 6.5. Kenan, I think Kenan tried. Like, Kenan was the only player that gave it his all. Like, he tried. He carried the ball. He was getting clamped. He was trying to have shots on goal. Kenan today, in some periods, like, he was holding onto the ball for a bit too long. But the problem is, guys, with a 3-2-5, like, once again, it's not really a tactical video. The problem is with a 3-2-5 is when you ask one of the fullbacks to now... So when you ask one of the fullbacks to now invert, you now don't have overlapping, underlapping fullbacks. You know what I mean? Like, Cambiasso is now tucked inside to play more of this makeshift 8. McKennie has also tucked inside to play more as this makeshift 8. So Conceição and Yildiz are now hugging the flanks, and they just have to find a way to beat their man. But the problem is, when you now got the reputation of Kenan Yildiz, which is the star boy of this team, the saviour, the goal scorer, the chance creator, you have to bear in mind, it comes, like, as much as it comes with respect, it does come with a lot of pressure, and it comes with the opposition now man marking you, the opposition putting 2-3 players on you. And every time today Yildiz got the ball, it was like 2-3 players were always on him. I feel like he struggled, and there were periods where I was like looking at it and thinking, Cambiasso, can you not offer an underlap? Can you not offer an overlap? Like, can you not help him out? I feel like he tried, but like, I think 7.4 is okay. Like, I would probably give him like a 7.6. Conceição, hey, it's very, very, very interesting that he gets substituted and then he sat on the bench, like throwing his toys out the pram. I don't know what he was saying. Vlahovic is there grabbing him, telling him to calm down. I don't think he was good. Like, I think in the first like 15, 20 minutes, he had 1 or 2 nice moments where he created a shot for himself. He went for goal. On another day, he scores. But with Conceição, it's the same thing that I criticized about him the whole of last year, which is Conceição is like a moments player where he has moments. So, like, you see last season when so many people would say to me, but Haj, how are you so against Conceição? Like, did you see the goal that he scored against Inter? Did you see this goal? Did you see that goal? Yeah, I promise you, Conceição will always score you goals. Does he score you them on a consistent basis? No. Hence, he's only got, what, 2 goals this season, Verona and Villarreal. Conceição, for me, just has not kicked on at Juve. And fair enough, people might say, listen, he hasn't kicked on because, what? Ever since he's been at Juve, like, it's unfortunate, but he's had 3 coaches. He's had Motta, he's had Tudor, and now he's had Spalletti. He's come out and said, listen, I favour playing out wide on the flanks than playing a bit more centrally like Tudor used me. I completely understand that and I sympathise. But when I say kick on, have you kicked on in terms of your decision making? Have you kicked on in terms of like refining your game? Have you kicked on and like mastered any part of your game in the final third? Like, have you mastered the cut inside and shoot? I don't think he has. Have you mastered your ability to cross the ball? No, I don't think so. I think when it comes to Conceição, the only thing that I think he's relatively gifted at is beating his man. But the problem is, beating your man is 50% of the job. The other 50% is putting in a deadly cross into the box. And Conceição, for me, like, when I see him beat his man, I might as well just turn off the TV. Because I know the cross is not beating the first man. I know if it does, it's getting overhit and it's going out for a throw-in. And every time I watch him, and there's a reason why, like, so many people look at him and say he's such a frustrating figure, because he's good at one part of the game, but then the part of the game that wins you the games. Do you know what I mean? Like, he's 50% of the game is beating your man, beating the opposition, exploiting the space that they leave him behind. I think Conceição is very good at that. But then what's the other 50%? When you exploit the space, put the ball into the back of the net, create a goal scoring opportunity, be penetrative, be decisive, be efficient, be effective. I'd be a liar if I told you guys he was penetrative. I'd be a liar if I told you guys he was effective, let alone efficient. I'd be a liar if I told you guys that. So for me, it's pretty funny, like, throwing your toys out of the pram when, like, you didn't really have the best of games. You haven't really had the best of seasons. But 7.2, I would probably take him down to like a 6.5. Vlahovic, I think he had a good start to the game, like off the ball in particular, running the channels, holding up the ball, bringing his teammates into the game, applying serious pressure. I don't know if it's because of that injury that he picked up midweek and it feels like he was rushed back, because as the second half went on, you could see like the intensity that Vlahovic has been playing at recently it began to like fade away. And to be fair, he didn't really get himself many opportunities. I think, what is that, 6.8? I definitely wouldn't give him 6.8. I'd probably give him something along the lines of like 6.1, maybe 6, just 6. I'll just give him a 6. All right. When it comes to the subs, Gatti, we've discussed. Zegrova, I liked what I saw, but at the same time, I didn't. If I was to be completely honest with you guys, I feel like on 1 or 2 opportunities, he's very similar to Conceição. He's good at beating his man. He cuts inside. But I feel like on a few opportunities, the overlap was there. And like you see, I don't know if you guys remember, towards the end of the game, he cut inside and Cambiaso was making an amazing run down the overlap. And I looked at it and I was like, you have to feed him the ball. You have to feed him the ball. He decided to put a cross into the box. Now, fair enough. He actually created the opportunity for McKennie with a good cross. But I feel like as a winger, you need to like diversify your bag, if you know what I mean. Like 1 minute cut inside and cross, 1 minute cut inside and shoot, but 1 minute go down the outside and pull across the box, or 1 minute go down the outside, hold up the play, go down the outside, feed the overlap. I think with Zegrova today, like it was very evident. Receive the ball, cut inside, cross, cut inside, cross. Now don't get me wrong, he's got a far better cross on him than somebody like Conceição, hence it's not really a problem. But sometimes feed the overlap. You know what I mean? And that was only one, like that's my only piece of criticism towards him, because on those 2 opportunities, I was like, that's the wrong decision that you've made. I think on one moment it was McKennie and then the other moment it was Cambiaso. And I was like, you have to feed them because that's where the space is. Pass the ball into the space. But I think he was pretty lively. Like, I don't really expect much from Conceição. I don't really expect much from Zegrova this entire season. Yeah, it sounds pretty crazy. Like, I think the injury, I've read about it. Like, let's be real. The injury and the context around it is one of the main factors as to why Lille were open to letting him go. And like, for me, it does indicate that it is an injury where players don't really recover from it that quick, and it requires a lot of like rehab. It requires a lot of time off, a lot of rest. And for me, I don't really expect much of him, but he was pretty lively. Adzic, I don't remember anything Adzic done. Like, I don't know how he got himself a 6.6. The only thing I remember about Adzic was him taking the corner off Zegrova, which, I'll be honest with you guys, like, one part of me likes it because it shows confidence that you want to take the corner. But then one part of me doesn't like it because if your teammate has placed the ball and he's telling you, listen, I'm about to take this corner, like, surely, like, there should be an element of trust between your teammates. And the only problem is Adzic went on to take the corner. He couldn't even beat the first man. Like, he couldn't beat the first man. So I was looking at it and I was thinking, like, is there like no communication between you two? Unless Spalletti had told him, listen, I don't want an in-swinger, hence Zegrova left-footed. I want an out-swinger, Adzic on the right foot. If that is the case, then fair enough. But me just watching it on the TV, like, it didn't really come across like that. It just came across like, I'm here to take this corner on your bike, mate. Openda, he wasn't really involved. Like, Openda wasn't really involved. Very similar to all the other players. I didn't really like Openda's decision making today. Like, there was that period on the left hand side where there was like 3 or 4 players in the box and he decided to shoot. And I was just looking at it and thinking, like, brother, what are you doing? Like, you sure? Like, you sure that's the wisest of decisions? Openda for me, like, I think this entire season, Openda and then Jonathan David. To summarize those two, I think Juve's entire season, whether they get Champions League football or not, it genuinely hangs by the thread of those two. Those two. Vlahovic, you could look at him and say he's a reborn, he's the savior and everything. Vlahovic, we've all seen over the years. Like, Vlahovic can't play every single game. Like, Vlahovic needs a rest. Like, he needs to be sometimes taken out of the spotlight when his confidence is down, when he's not really scoring opportunities. And that's why competition is very good. The problem is, at the moment, the competition for Vlahovic are not really pulling their weight. And I think this second half of the season, well, the 3 quarters of the season that's left, Openda and David, they really need to step up their games. Because if they do step up their games, they will begin to feel like brand new signings. Because I don't think anybody's looking at David and Openda's impact on the field and saying, you guys feel like new signings. No, they just feel like players that have been here for 5 years, that haven't pulled their weight, they're surplus to requirements, and it's probably time to move them on because they're not performing like new players. They're not players that are bringing something new to Juve, if you know what I mean. Like, Openda's performance, he's not really bringing much. As much as I feel like he had a good performance in the last game that he started, but it's not good to have good performances in moments. You need to do it on a consistent basis. I think both of them were like pretty average. Hey, we've managed to turn this video into 20 minutes. Hey, I might start doing this more, you know. I like this whole player rating stuff, innit? That's the game, guys. Make sure to like, make sure to subscribe. Enjoy your international break, and I will catch you guys on another one.